Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Adunulambita Bhujo Kanakavadatu Sankirtanaya Gavitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijabaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karnavataro Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudadai Pushpavanto Chitra Sangha Tamuno Vandeham Shri Ramakrishna Abhaya Charano Sako Sukkado Paramanando Sundaro Subala Priyo He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Gauri Vaishnava Guru Parampara Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Shri Kaviraj Goswami Mahashaya Ki Jai Vinod Parivar Ki Jai Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur Premanand Hari Om. So we're continuing our discussion. We are continuing our discussion of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the 8th chapter of the Adi Lila. And now we come to this section in this chapter that the chapter is really about, characterized by, and that is the revelation or the revealing on the part of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami of how he came to write this great book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And of course, we heard just prior to this a section last night in which he deferred considerably and offered great respect to Vrindavan Das Thakur, the author of Chaitanya Mangal, which he refers to as Chaitanya Bhagavat. In the dream last night, I was reminded of the fact that Chaitanya Mangal was written of Lochan Das. As you may recall, there are 2 books originally named Chaitanya Mangal. Lochan Das's book was written before Chaitanya Charitamrita was written, as was Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat was also written before Lochan Das's Chaitanya Mangal. Krishnadas mentioned the name and with great respect. Narayani, the niece of Srivas Thakur, who received the prasad of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and from whose womb came Vrindavan Das Thakur. And it's also worth noting that they were the same age, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Narayani. So, like her, he was about 5 years old when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left Bengal, went to Puri, and began his Adi Lila, traveling, preaching, and so forth. And of a similar age, maybe they were friends in some way. And wait a minute. History is not my best subject. No, he was quite a bit younger, I should say, than her. It wasn't on the same age, because her issue was Vrindavan Das, who he is revering. So, but anyway, he did mention her, and we talked a little bit about his Vrindavan Das's birth and how it corresponds with that of Vyas in some ways, being peculiar. So, at any rate, Vrindavan Das, Krishnadas, glorified the Chaitanya Mangal of Vrindavan Das Thakur and seemed to refer to it, or did refer to it really, as the continuation of the Bhagavatam. So it would seem that the title Chaitanya Bhagavat to Vrindavan Das's book, the changed title, was inspired by what's written here in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Vrindavan Das, or by Krishnadas. Why Lochan Das wrote a book and named it the same. Why he wrote it on the inspiration of his Guru Narahari, who was an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and why he named it Chaitanya Mangal when there was already a book named Chaitanya Mangal. We don't know, but his book, Lochan Das's book, is not mentioned anywhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Neither is Lochan Das, and there are some differences in doctrine that appear in the Chaitanya Mangal of Lochan Das that Vrindavan Das takes exception to. Ideas, I should say, that Vrindavan Das took exception to, and that Krishnadas also takes exception to in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, perhaps for those reasons, he doesn't mention the Chaitanya Mangal of Lochan Das or Lochan Das anywhere in the book, defers to the elder Vrindavan Das in his book, Chaitanya Mangal, which he more or less calls it the Chaitanya Mangal, but speaks about it in a way that you can understand the name Chaitanya Bhagavat came to stick. So at any rate, now he has said in the concluding verse of last night that the Chaitanya Bhagavat deals extensively with the pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu, and in code form or in short form, in sutra form, really all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but then playing them out chapter after chapter in detail. Vrindavan Das does not deal elaborately with later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the pastimes in Jagannath Puri. And so he says that Sheshab Lilar Shunite Vivaran Vrindavan Basi Bhakter Utkanti Taman. So the these later pastimes, Sheshab Lila Shunite Vivaran, the description of them, the Dambasis, the Vrindavan Basi Bhakter, the devotees, the residents of Vrindavan, Utkantitaman, their minds were full of eagerness and longing to hear the details of those pastimes. And as he proceeds here, he'll speak about some of those devotees and how he became one who was chosen to write about them. He himself was not a resident of Puri. And we know from the 5th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita that he left Bengal at an fairly early age, having gotten in an argument with his brother, at whose house he was staying, when he found that Nityananda Prabhu was not really honored there. And then, homeless, Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him in a dream with his Dwadasa Gopal associates, chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And Nityananda Prabhu told him, go to Vrindavan, all your desires will be fulfilled. And so he woke up and he tells us the next morning he left. And this is a very intimate sharing of his heart that he affords his readers in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that he hesitates to do, but he feels that if he does not, then the measure of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu will not be known as well as it could, as if he mentions these things. It's not typical of a Vaishnava to reveal intimate biographical details, what speak of inner experiences and so forth. If you need Nartam Thakur system to tell your bhajan to anyone, don't even keep it quiet. Or there's a stage in which, when they make progress internally, feel it, and then want to still be conditioned by pratishtha, and then want to talk about it, share about it, and make themselves and succumb to the pratishtha, the desire for attention, and so forth, and that may cause it to diminish. So it starts to grow. It's like a candle, and you want to keep it very quiet within, like it's the beginning of a fire and so forth. Culture it. So along these lines, he feels that his inner experience, this dream, if you will, in which Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him, is something very confidential. He compares it to the confidential nature of the Vedic texts, which are not shared with anyone. We know the word Upanishad implies come and sit close, the implication being to hear what the general public does not have an ear for, and whisper in your ear secret truths, the inner world, the Atma and its prospect, God, and so forth. Not the God of things who gives things, but who gives himself. So, and anyway, he did reveal that, and it's at the end of the chapter in which he speaks about at length the ontological position of Nityananda Ram, and then shows his special mercy, how he entered into his own life, and as a result, he went to Vrindavan. Next morning, he got up and just went straight to Vrindavan, and without thinking, and twice. And so that was at an early age. So now he's speaking about how he came to write the book, and as we find at the end of the book, he describes that again in brief, and how he's very, very old at this time. He's suffering from arthritis, practically blind, and I think, like in the late 80s. So this is sometime and after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has disappeared. He's distanced considerably from the direct Leela itself. He was not there in Jagannath Puri, but he did apparently get the association in Vrindavan of Raghunath Das Goswami, who lived with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and who was under the care of Swarup Damodar, who wrote down notes about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. And so from the notes of Swarup Damodar and those of Raghunath Das, who Raghunath Das he describes at the end of this book as his guru. He repeatedly throughout the book, he's glorifying his Siksha gurus, and includes Raghunath Das there and so forth. But at the end of the book, he glorifies a number of the devotees, including the other Goswamis, and he differentiates or separates out Raghunath Das by referring to him as his guru. So we hear that he was actually initiated by him in Vrindavan, and he was a wealth of knowledge of the direct experience of the extraordinary Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath Puri. Indeed, he wrote about them, poetry and so forth, and some of those poems are cited in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He himself did not take up the task. This is now quite some time later, and as he will explain, the residents here, as he is in this verse, the residents, they were eager to hear this, and they turned to him. Apparently, they were confident that he had taken advantage of Raghunath Das Goswami's association, and that much was shared with him on the part of Raghunath Das Goswami. So here is kind of the continuation, if you will, of the story that he told in the 5th chapter about how he went to Vrindavan. Now he's been in Vrindavan for a long time. He's had the association. By this time, Raghunath Das has come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has disappeared from Puri. Raghunath Das is residing there. Jiva Goswami is residing there. Whether Rup Sanathan, the elder of them, were present, I'm not sure, but the next generation of their followers and so forth. Some of the prominent followers of Gadadhar Pandit will be mentioned in this section, who he was associated with. So this is the setting, and it tells us a little bit about what happened and kind of in a way the nature of the Vaishnav writing, and how it springs forth from a command and a blessing, if you will. It's not an exercise of, I want to write a book to be well known, or something like that. Typically. So Vrindavane Kalpadrune Suvarna Sadan Mahayogapitahan Ratnasimhasana. He says, in Vrindavan, in a great place of pilgrimage underneath the desire trees, is a golden throne bedecked with jewels. So he's in Vrindavan writing this book. Now he's telling the story. And we see from, as he begins to tell the story of Vrindavan, he is also going in and out of the eternal Vrindavan meditative Dham and the physical representation of it on earth, external consciousness and internal consciousness of Vrindavan, which both are extraordinary. But here he starts, and he's going into the meditative reality of Vrindavan, where he's living. This is where we try to live in our daily lives of meditation upon and here in service of Lord Nityananda, singing the song that we just did of describing the eightfold pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, serving the deity and so on, putting on his remnants and whatnot. So Vrindavan Das, Krishna Das is he's writing about it, and then writing about that's external, to be in a somewhat external consciousness to write, but writing about his internal meditative experience of Vrindavan. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is very much like this. It's it's not a historical book. It's not a historical book in a couple of senses. In one sense, it's not a historical book in that he's not trying to give the chronological narrative as his main emphasis, but in the context of the narrative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila, to speak about the philosophy, the theology that underlies his ecstatic reality, and who he is, how he was experienced by the Vrindavan Goswamis. And all of that experience, of course, transcends time and history and so on and so forth. And so there's an awful lot of shifting of the ground, if you will, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Like I mentioned in other discussions, other sessions, sometimes he puts verses in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mouth that were written later by Rupa Goswami, and he wouldn't have said that necessarily. So it's an example of how it's not historical in that sense, but he's trying to make a point and present a picture of who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. At the same time, there is some, historical continuity and so forth. That's the framework. But another way in which the book transcends history is something like this. Another example of which is how the book speaks about Chaitanya Lila, and in the context of the Chaitanya Lila, we find devotees are suddenly finding themselves in Vrindavan Lila. Later in the book, in Antya Lila, we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking with Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy. They cite a verse, and that verse of the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begins to explain it. The meter of the text changes from the general meter to a Tripad meter. It's more poetic, and Mahaprabhu is explaining the verses, but he's entered into the mood in the person of Radha for the most part, explaining the verses from that point of view and so forth. And so there's this movement between Chaitanya Lila, the earthly Chaitanya Lila, and the Krishna Lila, and the connection between, as we talked of yesterday, of Vrindavan Das as the Vyas of Gaur Lila, as there's a Vyas of Krishna Lila. And so there's this going back and forth between the Gaur Lila and the Krishna Lila in the timelessness, if you will. It's where are you? The idea is the book is beyond time, and it's meant to take you beyond time. This is what the Bhagavatam is about too. It's not as much a historical book. It transcends history and literal kind of thinking and so forth. It's meant to try to take us out of that, if you will, kind of shake our foundation of reality and its limitation, its limited, the limited way in which it appears in the mundane mind in terms of possibilities, and things are said, and the order has to be is of great importance, and so on. So all these activity, all these leelas are eternal, occurring again and again, somewhere in some devotee's heart, somewhere. So he's trying to, and he's successful. If you apply yourself to reading the text, in dislodging us in many respects from this limited kind of linear physical historical sensibilities, and giving us, like, opening like a Bermuda Triangle type, of the opening of the space and enter into the timelessness. So he begins his description here of Vrindavan, and he does that almost like seamlessly. He's talking about history of Vrindavan Das and glorifying him and so forth. And I'm in Vrindavan, and Vrindavan, they want to hear the pastimes. And Vrindavan, there's a desire tree, and underneath there's a golden throne, and and so forth, bedecked with jewels. And Tate Baisit Ache Sada Brajendra Nandan, Shri Govinda Dev Nam Sakshat Madam. On that throne sits Brajendra Nandana, the son of the blissful, the bliss-giving, the joy of Nanda Maharaj, the Brajendra Nandan, the joy of the king of the cowherds, Nanda Maharaj, and of Braj. So Tate Base Ache Sada, on that throne, sitting there, Sada, always eternally residing there on that throne, is Brajendra Nandan, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Shri Govinda Dev Nam Sakshat Maran. His name is Shri Govinda Dev, and he is directly Madan, Cupid himself, transcendental Cupid. This is then an example of the meditative life in Raganuga Bhakti as the Smarna becomes prominent in a devotee's life, arising naturally as it does out of Kirtan. This is like what we might call what Jiva Goswami refers to as Swastika follows that. What is it? Mantramayi Upasana. So, for example, there's a famous verse of Vrindavan Das, or excuse me, of Krishna Das, where he says, Shriman. What's the other one? Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasansto Srimad Radha Shilavindadevo Prastalivi Sevimam Swami. This is more or less what he's saying here. This is a verse that it pictures Krishna under the desire tree, Radha and Krishna served by many devotees with great affection. A still picture of the moving Lila, the Yoga Pit, the center from where meditation is focused and out of which the Lila flows in different directions and so forth, spontaneously, Svarasika. So the meditation will become fixed on still picture first, and then it'll turn into the motion picture of the Lila. So he's taking us in his talking about his own meditative sensibilities in Vrindavan. Rasa Seva, Raj Seva Hui Tangha Vichitra Prakar Divya Sang Magri Divya Vastra Alankar. Varieties of majestic service are rendered to Govinda there. His garments, ornaments, and paraphernalia are all transcendental. Sahasra Sevaka Seva Kore Anukshan Sahasra Vadane Seva Najaya Varnam. In that temple of Govindaji, thousands of servitors always render service with great devotion. Even with thousands of mouths, one could not describe this service. This meditation on Nitya Lila has a little Aishwarya in it. The Deva Lila, it's called, as opposed to the Nara Lila. Sevara Adhyaksha Sri Pandit Haridas Tanra Jashaguna Sarva Jagati Prakash. In that temple, the chief servitor was Haridas Pandit. His qualities and fame are known all over the world. So this is a different Haridas, different from Haridas Thakur. This is Haridas Pandit, the disciple of Gadadhar Paribar. And he was apparently, at this time, the chief servitor in, this is a reference also to the Radha Govinda temple. Radha Govinda temple that is associated with Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan is located in the what's called the Yoga Pitha of Vrindavan. It's the central, like the Yoga Pitha, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Yoga Pitha in Mayapur. There's a Yoga Pitha in Vrindavan, and a big temple was erected there under the auspices of Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. Deity was established. There's three deities. There's Madan Gopal, Madan Mohan, Govindaji, and Gopinath. So here he's referring to Govindadev, his temple, and the chief priest there. And now he's going to describe something about him, his qualities, and praise him, and so on and so forth. And let's see, I'll tell the story ahead of time here. I'll read it. So Haridas Pandit, Sushila, Sahishnu, Shanta, Badanya Gambhira, Madhura Vachana, Madhura Chesta, Mahadhira. He was, so he's just describing his qualities. He was gentle, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, grave, sweet in his words, and very sober in his endeavors. Sabar Saman Karta Korin Sabar Hita Kotilya Matsarja Himsa Najjane Tarjita. He was very respectful to everyone. He worked for the benefit of all. Korin Sabar Hita, for the welfare of everyone. Diplomacy, by contrast, envy, jealousy, were unknown in his heart. Krishnera Jay Sadharan Sadguna Panchasha Se Sab Guner Tanna Sharire Nivas. The 50 qualities of Krishna were all present in his body. Yasyasti Bhakti Bhagavati Akinchana Sarver Gunaistatra Samasate Sura Karova Bhaktasya Kuto Mahajuna Manoratena Sati Tavato Bahi. He quotes the Bhagavatam from the 5th canto. The glorification of the devotee comes in the context of glorifying the virtues of associating with devotees, by which bhakti comes into us, the result of which is, as this verse says, when you, as a devotee, become an akinchana bhakta, means without any desire, when desires are emptied out, only desiring bhakti, then yasyasti bhakti or bhagavati akinchana sarver gunaistata samasate. So that all of the good qualities of the devas appear within one. Previous to this, he cited that he stated that the 50 qualities of Krishna appear. These 50 qualities he appears to be referring to are the 50 qualities out of the 64 qualities of Krishna mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami says can appear in minute degree in Krishna's devotees, sadhakas, as they affect their sadhana. So they come by the grace of Krishna, by the grace of bhakti, and so he gives a verse from the Bhagavatam to support his point that this kind of thing happens, such is the nature of the devotees. The verse also means that he cited also means that when one becomes such a devotee, then by pleasing him or her, all the devas are pleased. Krishna resides within him. Krishna Bhakti resides within him. And all the devas, they step back from this. Then they offer respect to this. This is very different than the jnani. and very different from the karmi. The karmi, or on the path of acquisition, they worship the gods. And the gods give them certain things here and there and so forth. The ideas, material acquisition is they're blessed to acquire. But the devas are a little concerned that that if someone's too good, then too pious, then their own position may be. There may be competition. There are many stories in the Bhagavatam of Indra being afraid someone's becoming too pious. It might take over my post. It's a way of saying, and I've mentioned this before, a way of saying that in the moral realm, which religious orientation is about, you never arrive at a real, at the full face of goodness. The absolute goodness is only a shadow of real goodness, and one doesn't become fulfilled, even by becoming perfectly or extremely moral, like the chief Indra, the chief of morality, or the Brahma. Beyond that, even more so. So the devas have a certain relationship with those on the karma mark. Now, then there are those on the Gyan mark. The devas don't like them very much, because on the Gyan mark, there's an extinguishing of the devas. They're no longer interested in things, so the devas no longer have any power over them. So they have no relationship with them, and they lose control of them. So I have a certain relationship with the karma marg, and a certain relationship with the Gyanis on the Gyan marg. Now we come to the Bhakti marg. The Bhakti marg, what happens? They all want to live inside of him. They realize that's where we, who are manifestations of partial goodness in prominent ways, can reside and realize the fullness that we unto ourselves are lacking. Because in connection with bhakti, well, it's not, the qualities are extinguished, right? As in for the jnani, he wants nirvishesh Brahma. He wants to do away with all the devas and the world that they preside over. They're not very drawn to that type of a person. And to the karmis, they're not drawn. Then they give them something. There's this distance is kept. But for the bhaktas, they actually want the association of the devotees, because they're, again, the qualities that they represent are the fullest manifestation of those qualities in this world, but still they fall short of the full sense of any of those qualities that is found in Krishna, the God of gods, the Govinda, as we know from the Govardhan Lila, who is the Lord of Indra, crowned him. And so they want, they what is their relationship in the devas with the devotees? They're honoring them. They want to live inside of him. Is the idea. He's coming to absolute good, and in a measure or a sense of absolute good, an experience of absolute good in which all good qualities are manifest. It's not nirvishesha. It's full of transcendental qualities, variety, and so forth, and the realm of love. So this is the implication of the verse, and it's speaking of the virtues of bhakti, and indirectly dismissing karma marg and the gyan marg. He says all the good qualities, Prahlad says, all these good qualities of the devas, they reside in the devotee. Kinchana bhakta, and conversely, harova bhaktasya kuto madhana manogati nasti tavat. Only a shadow of those appear in ordinary people who live in the world of the mind. Something like that. So in this way, he's now beginning to talk about the person who actually was the most instrumental in his coming to write Chaitanya Charitamrita in terms of being asked to or ordered to, selected. We can imagine the position of this Haridas Pandit at that time, the head priest of the Radha Govinda temple, and it had just been established shortly previously by Rupa Goswami, and it's the center of Vrindavan. It's the center of the meditative Vrindavan, the Yoga Pita. So he's a very prominent person. So he's he has good backing behind him, Krishnadas Kaviraj, for writing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And appropriately, of course, he is speaking about the qualities of Haridas Pandit. He says, Pandit Gosai, Goswami Shishya, Anantacharya. So this Pandit Goswami, he was the disciple of Pandit Goswami. He says that there was an Anantacharya, and he is the disciple of Pandit Goswami. Pandit Goswami here means Gadadhar Pandit, who was the intimate, close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Radha of Gaur Lila, and who, as a Pandit, would recite the Bhagavatam for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the discourse on the Bhagavatam, both in Navadvip and Puri. So many of his disciples, he had many disciples who were in Vrindavan. And Anantacharya was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. His body was always absorbed in Krishna Prema Maya Tanu. His body, Tanu, was Krishna Prema Maya, filled with Krishna Prema. Udar Saba Arti was very, Udar was very Audarya, was very magnanimous and advanced in all respects. Tanhar Anantagun Ke Karu Prakash. Priya Shishya Pandit Haridas. And this Pandit Haridas, whom he's speaking about, is the disciple of this Anantacharya, who was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. So this is the lineage of Gadadhar Pandit. It's significant, isn't it, that the order for writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita, as we'll see here, given to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, is coming in the Gadadhar Parivar. Line of Gadadhar Pandit. He's a quiet, if you will, and not overtly, not given as so much overt attention in Chaitanya Charitamrita, although identified as a member of the Panchatattva and so on and so forth. The nature of the Leela, he has to take a little bit of the background, recede to the background, that the Bhava of Radha may manifest fully in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the order to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, which explains this truth about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like no other text, but these Radha and Krishna minds, it's coming from Gadadhar Pandit's Parivar. How appropriate. On Radha's order, the implication is he's writing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so on Radha's order, he's writing a book that says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Radha and Krishna, and Radha's telling him to do that while staying in the background. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Radha and Krishna combined. This is her way. It's very beautiful. He says Anantacharya was a reservoir of all good qualities, and no one can estimate how great he was. Pandit Haridas was his beloved disciple. Pandit Haridas Chaitanya Nityananda Tanra Parama Vishwas. He had great faith in Chaitanya and Nityananda. Chaitanya Charita Tanra Param Ulas. And he took Param Ulas, great joy and satisfaction in knowing about the pastimes of Gaur and Nityananda. Vaishnavar Gunagrahi Na Dekaya Dosha Kaya Manu Bhakye Kori Vaishnava Santosha. He always accepted the good qualities of the Vaishnavas and never found fault in them. He engaged his heart and soul only to satisfy the Vaishnavas. Nirantar Shuniten Ho, Chaitanya Mangal, Tanha Prasadi Sunil, Vaishnava Sakal. He always heard the readings of Chaitanya Mangal or Chaitanya Bhagavat, as we come to know it, and all the other Vaishnavas used to hear it by his grace, so he would recite it. Kathaya Shabba Ujjval Kore Jena Purnachandra Nijugunamritya Badai Vaishnavananda. Like the full moon, he illuminated the entire assembly of Vaishnavas by speaking Sri Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and by the nectar of his qualities, he increased their transcendental bliss. Teno ati kripa kori agna kolamore, Urangeshesh Lila Barnibadhare. By his causeless mercy, he ordered me to write about the last pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Pandit Haridas ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. So we see here he was schooled in Chaitanya Bhagavat. What's his acquaintance with Chaitanya Bhagavat? He left at an early age, Vrindavan, Navadvip, and the order of Nityananda Prabhu. He went to Vrindavan. There he was schooled in Chaitanya Bhagavat by Pandit Haridas in the community. And I remember myself, I was just a young man, and first time I heard of Chaitanya Bhagavat, I was worshiping little Gornitai. The devotees used to call him Chota Gornitai, small Gornitai. And one of my godbrothers, his name was Achutananda Maharaj, he had learned Bengali, and he was reciting the Bengali and English translation of Chaitanya Bhagavat, and it was on tape, and I had the fortune to listen to it. This is before it was ever published in English. I didn't know about it, and Chaitanya Charitamrita had come out by then. Hearing those Navadvip pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was quite startling to me, and was shaking and moving. So we can imagine Krishnadas hearing an assembly of devotees gathering. This is just a short time after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, and the lineage is forming and gathering. The temple of Rupa Goswami has gone up, and this is how they're keeping themselves in Vrindavan. Living in Vrindavan, worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, entering into meditative Vrindavan. They're going around like this. This is their life, beyond time. This, he gave his blessing. Kashishvar Gosai Shishya, and I was going to mention some other devotees. Govinda Gosai, Govinda Priya Sevaka, Dhamma Samanani. Govinda Gosai, the priest, engaged in the service of Lord Govinda in Vrindavan, was a disciple of Kashishvar Goswami. There was no servant more dear to the Govinda deity. Yadavacharya Gosai, Sri Rupera Sangi, Chaitanya Charit Te Tenho Ati Vada Rangi. Sri Jadava Acharya, the constant associate of Rupa Goswami, was also very enthusiastic in hearing and chanting about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Pandit Gosai Shishya, Bhugarba Gosai, Gaur Kata, Bina Ar Mukhe Anyanai. Bhugarba Goswami, also a disciple of Pandit Goswami or Parada Pandit, was also always engaged in topics of reading, topics regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew nothing else. Tanra Shishya Govinda Pujaka Chaitanya Das, Gunananda Chakravarti Premi Krishna Das. Among his disciples were Chaitanya Das, who was the priest of who was one of the priests of the Govinda deity, as well as Mukundananda Chakravarti and the great devotee Premi Krishna Das, different Krishna Das. Acharya Gosani Shishya Chakravarti Shivananda, Nirabharitana Chitte Chaitanya Nityananda. Among the disciples of Ananta Acharya was Shivananda Chakravarti, in whose heart Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constantly dwelled. Arjatud Vrindavane Vaishe Bhaktagan, Shesha Lila Suniteshwavar Hudaman. In Vrindavan, there were also many other great devotees, all of whom desired to hear the last pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's really saying, I got the order, and it was their desire because they wanted, and somehow I was selected by them. I've come to write this. I have no qualification other than their blessings, their desire. If it will please the Vaishnavas and this is what they want, then I will try to do it, although I'm not capable. This is how he's thinking. But he's going to go on from here and seek even further qualification. He has, it's apparent in the story that he has some reticence to proceed even with their order on the order and because of their desire, because of his own sense of his lack of qualification, his own inadequacy. More agnya, given the task, as he thinks of it. Me, write a book. Of course, he was a scholar and he wrote a number of books. That's also there. He had, kind of academic, if you will, qualifications as well. They didn't just pick somebody that didn't have right to write the book. But it's not an ordinary book. So, More agnya korila shobe karunad korila. Tan sabar boleliki nirlaja huya. By their mercy, all these devotees ordered me to write of the last pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am shameless because of their order. Although I am shameless, I have attempted to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vaishnavera agna pan chintita antare madana gopale gela agna magibare. Having received the order of the Vaishnavas, but being anxious within my heart, as I'm saying, because of his sense of his own lack of qualification, he went to the temple of Madan Mohan Ji. Govinda temple, went to Madan Mohan's temple. And there he asked permission also from Madan Gopal directly. He will explain later on. Kuladi Devadamor Madan Mohan. That he got the blessing of all these devotees. And he's speaking of Pandit Haridas in particular, and the devotees associated with the Govindaji temple in the line of Gadadhar Pandit. But his own Kula family, spiritual family deity, was Madan Gopal. So instead of asking Govindaji, what do you think? All your devotees are saying this, that I should write. Instead, he went to Madan Gopal to ask. This is the idea. He will come later. He'll mention his relationship with Madan Gopal, his own Parivar. So when I visited the temple of Madan Mohan, the priest Gosai Das was serving the feet of the Lord, and I prayed at the Lord's lotus feet. Prabhu charane jadi atna mogila. Prabhu kanta hoite mala kashiya padila. And when I prayed to the Lord for permission, the garland from around his neck slipped down. Suddenly, the garland fell from his neck. Sab Vaishnav Gan Hari Dwani Dila Gosai Das Animal More Gali Dila. So as soon as this happened, all the Vaishnavas standing there, they did Hari Dwani. They chanted Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And the priest Gosai Das brought me the garland and put it around my neck. So it's as if he said, let me go ask Mother Gopal. And they said, yes. And they followed him. And he prayed at the feet of Mother Gopal, and the garland fell, and the priest gave implications. The teacher said, take the garland off, give it to him. This is the way, deity's way of speaking. That, yes, he is this chosen one. He shall write this. So see what steps he took before embarking on a literary exercise. The commission, blessed by the right, ordered by one, urged by many, and directly blessed by the deity. As soon as this happened, they all chanted Haribol, Agnamala Pana Amara Huila Ananda, Tahan Karinu Ke Grantera Aramba. I was greatly pleased to receive the garland, signifying the order of the Lord, and then and there I commenced to write this book. E granta lekai mor maranamohan amar likhana jena sukera patan. Actually, he says, Chaitanya Charitamrita is not my writing, but the dictation of Madan Mohan. My writing is like the repetition of a parrot. She liki Madana Gopale, je likhaya, kashtera putali jena kuhake nachai. As a wooden doll is made to dance like a magician, by a magician, I write as Madan Gopal orders me to do so. Kula debita mor Madan Mohan, Yamar Sebaka Raghunath Rup Sanatan. This is his own. He says, I accept as my family deity Madan Mohan, whose worshippers are Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami established the deity there with Madan Gopal. And of course, he's the disciple, we've heard, of Raghunath Das Goswami. And they, in Krishna Lila, are all the followers of Rupa Goswami. Vrindavan Daser Pada Padma Kuri Dhyan, Tana Agna Ram Likhi Jahati Kalyan. I took permission from Vrindavan Das Thakur by praying at his lotus feet. Upon receiving his order, I attempted to write this auspicious literature. Chaitanya Lilate Vyas Vrindavan Das, Tanu Kripa Binani Nahoi Prakash. Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur is the authorized writer of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, therefore, one cannot describe these pastimes. You may notice that now, before we do the class, when we speak, we cite that we offer our respect to our Guru and then to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in two verses. One is a verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat, of famous verse of Vrindavan Das, offering his pranams to Gaur Nitai, and the other is Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishnadas' verse, glorifying Gaur Nitai, his main namaskar verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita. In doing that, we seek to invoke the blessings of Krishnadas and Vrindavan Das, both. I guess otherwise, how can we say anything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Vaishnavism? Murka Nicha Chutra Muni Vishai Lalasa Vaishnava Agya Bale Kori Eteka Sahasa. I'm foolish, low-born, and insignificant, and I always desire material enjoyment. Yet, by the order of the Vaishnavas, I'm greatly enthusiastic to write this transcendental literature. Sri Rup Raghunath Charaner Eobav Yanusmrite Siddhahoi Vanchita Sakal. The lotus feet of Rup Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength, remembering their lotus feet. Can fulfill all one's desires. Rupa Raghunath Padijarash Chaitanya Charitamrita Hare Krishna Das, praying at the feet of Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. Hare Krishna Das, narrate Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Mashai ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Lord Prem. Any question? It's a really nice story, huh? What's the time? 7:40. Okay. We'll stop there. Sri Gaur Nityananda ki Jai, Sri Bhakti Parivar ki Jai, Lord Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai, Lord Preman.
Haribo, Guru Maharaj ki Jai.